Hello, welcome to the Curator Podcast. This is episode 33. Hi, hello, welcome once again, dear listener, to the Curator Podcast. I am your host, Mark Fraser, and this is episode 33. Tonight, I was at a rock show. Yes, I am recording this podcast the day that it's supposed to go out, because sometimes I like to live on the edge. Now, you see, it's been a bit of a dry week for content, and towards the end of this week, that is the week beginning the 25th of January, 2 interviews came my way, which was awesome, but they both happened to fall on the Thursday and the Friday. So in this instance, I'm recording this podcast on a Thursday night to go out on a Thursday night, which, let's be honest, isn't going to happen. So if you're listening to this and it's Friday, I apologise. If you're listening to this any day after Friday, then it doesn't really make much difference to you. So yeah, I hope you enjoy what's about to happen. On this episode, I have a lovely chat with Justine from Employed to Serve. Employed to Serve are a really sort of crazy mathcore band. If mathcore is your thing, if you know what that means, then you know that it's fucking crazy, frankly. And, you know, I only heard their album maybe in November 2015, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I can't lie, I thought it was brilliant, and I think they're a great band. I mean, I love bands that are so, it doesn't really matter to me like how good a band are, as long as they're intense. Employed to Serve are a band who are both really technically brilliant, rhythmically complex and amazing, and also super intense. And after seeing them live, they are definitely a super intense band. I would recommend you going to see them if you ever get the chance. Their new album, Greater Than You Remember, is out now on Holy Roll Records, and it's sublime. What more can I say? If you like Botch, if you like Converge, go see them. Okay, so now it sounds like I'm trying to sell them to you as if I'm some kind of PR guy, but no, that's not the case. I just really like them. They're one of my favourite bands of the latter half of 2015, and yeah, I was so stoked to speak to one of them. I was even more stoked to speak to Justine, because she's a singer, and as a singer myself, I really like speaking to other singers because I feel as though I'm on the same wavelength, you know. Yeah, I know, it's egotistical, but hey, I can't help who I am, man. I'm going to open this interview now with a track from their debut album, Greater Than You Remember. And before I did this interview, as I am wont to do, I do some research on my bands, and in a few interviews they have said that Threads is a really good introduction to the band, so I totally agree. This song is called Threads, and I hope you enjoy it. Justine, we're here in Wetherspoons, which is a lovely place to do a podcast. How are you doing today?
Oh, brilliant. I'm always happy when I'm in the Wetherspoons. So, yeah, it's good.
They might all look the same, but it's cheap pints, so you can't really argue with that, can you?
Oh, it's great. And you always got like different independent breweries as well, because I've started getting into beer a bit more because, well, you travel, don't you? So you get to like try all the local stuff, so it's nice.
Who doesn't love beer, man? I don't think I could live without beer, if I'm honest.
Yeah, definitely. Well, when I started, I used to be into cider a bit more, just because it was cheap and I was a student. But then you start getting like beers on the rider if you're lucky, so you kind of just change your taste. So that's good.
I do enjoy the rider beers, especially when they're free.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter if they're warm, it's fine.
Warm and like Carlsberg or something, it's like I'll fucking having that, like whatever.
Why would you pay for anything? Ain't better, like it's free.
So I don't know if you've listened to the podcast before, but the whole general thing of it is it's about creativity, passion and inspiration. So let's go back to the start, right? The very beginning. When did you first realise that you were a creative person?
I don't know, I guess when I was younger, I've always been in sort of like sports and things like that, but I started drawing from a young age. I liked music, used to collect like cassettes and then eventually CDs when like they were like the next in thing. And yeah, like photography, and I've just kind of been quite all round. I'm kind of creative, but sort of in the past 6 years or so, like I've been more into music than anything else, so just kind of going with that at the moment.
So when did the music thing really begin? Can you remember like a defining moment that you had, or?
As in like when I first attended gigs, or
when you first realised, shit, I want to be a singer in a band?
I think I'm trying to think back. Like I think my defining moment for that was attending Heavy Fest 2012, because I was sort of like was coming out of my kind of deathcore and sort of death metal phase from like 2010, because I used to listen to like Despised Icon and all that and attend all those shows. And then I started getting into post-hardcore, and then I went into Heavy Fest 2012 and saw like loads of great bands like Road to Massey, Veils, Brotherhood Lake, who are fortunately split up now. They were a great band. And yeah, like Converge and all the, the usual suspects, and the Chariot. So yeah.
The Chariot and Converge and Rollo, I guess they kind of really explain the sound of Employed to Serve, which is one thing I always kind of wonder when I'm talking to bands that play like quite rhythmically and technically complex music. And I actually asked Ben from Dillinger Escape Plan this. It was one of the only questions I had to ask him. It was like, well, why did you decide to make music that was like that and not any other kind of music? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I've actually often wondered this myself. I think it's mainly because I have quite a short attention span, and like I love things that kind of grab your attention and like throw people off, and they're sort of like trying to nod in a 4-4 formation, and all of a sudden it just like completely goes like out of into nothing. But yeah, I just think it's just interesting, and like it engages people a bit more. I feel.
It's also really hard to listen to if you're not really into it, though, which is kind of why I wonder. Like, it's also even as someone that has written songs, I find it quite hard to write like that. That's kind of why I was wondering, because it's like, well, it takes a certain kind of inspiration to have to want to make music, which is, I'm not going to say unlistenable because obviously I love it, but it's challenging. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I kind of like that it's not accessible, though, because there's a bit of a snob in me, I think. I kind of like that it's a bit niche and a bit weird, because I'm wacky. No, I'm not. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's just something different, and like, because it's so niche, so when someone really likes it, it kind of means more to you, because it's like, oh, this is really difficult to listen to. Thank you so much for like, learning lyrics and learning the weird changes and the, songs and things like that. So yeah, I kind of like it for that aspect.
Do you ever find yourself gravitating towards melody when you're writing songs?
Since like we've been progressing as a band, we sort of like, you can't do kind of wacky stuff all the time. You have to sort of like, find other avenues to explore. But at the moment we're sort of like trying to kind of evolve and do a few more like melodic bits, sort of like Bones to Break, and Cold as the Rest on the album. They're sort of like more hinting towards what we're sort of gunning for the next release.
So I mean, that was one of the things I was going to ask you, is like the progression of your work is, it's quite clear to see, even though it's your debut album, like the past few EPs have been like gradually getting towards this, I guess, tidal wave of like just fucking riffs.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, literally, it's just what we're listening to at the time. I mean, there's a few like kind of core bands that are like at the sort of centre of our attention, like collectively as a band, like Deftones, Curator, and sort of things like that. So at the moment, we kind of like listen to some more heavier sort of things, and like but clever, heavy, if you know what I mean, like not simple. So we're sort of like trying to push ourselves to like be creative without kind of relying on changing of time signatures, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does make sense, and it's interesting as well that you mentioned Deftones, because like for me, I was there when Deftones were basically part of the whole new metal thing, and to me they've always kind of felt like that, even though they're not, because they are, like you said, like as you like their music, it's sort of like they are kind of more intelligent about it, and it just strikes me as really odd as well that like the kind of music you guys play has become more popular like of late, not popular, but it's not like when Botch were doing it, nobody was listening to it, and then you know, now everybody, like, not everybody likes, but a lot of people like Dillinger and Converge and stuff like that, which is awesome. But like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It blows my mind that people cite Deftones as being an influence like that, when to me they still are this weird new metal band.
Yeah, I think like Deftones have like, I would say they are my favourite band for the fact that they were just so great at evolving and just like captivating their fans like throughout their releases, and like I really admire them for that. I think with like bands like Botch, like I love that band, like Daughters, like are another favourite. I think like as a band, I don't think they wanted to sort of, either like it might have been personal situations, because you know it's expensive to be in a band, but I think like if they didn't want to sort of like evolve and things, they're probably like, well, we've done 3 awesome records, and what was it, 3? Yeah, Daughters is about 3 debut albums, I think. Might be wrong, sorry. But after that, you kind of like, well, I don't want to go more melodic, and I don't want to change my sound, and I've kind of written everything I wanted to. So I guess they must just, you know, call it a day, which is fair enough, rather than like dissipating into something you don't want to be. So
does that worry you that might, like, you might get to the stage where like you've kind of expanded all the extreme, because your music's quite extreme, the extreme avenues that you've got, and like that push towards melody might not necessarily be something that you guys want to do?
I think with us, I kind of feel like, I'm trying to think, we as a band, like at the moment, we sort of like want to use Road to Massey as our kind of role models in that, because they have constantly sort of evolved over, like, I think they've been a band for like 10 years now. It feels really weird that I'm bigging them up because they're my friends, sort of thing. You know, kiss ass. But yeah, like, because what I'm trying to say is like basically we kind of want to go for the long haul, basically. And because we love like writing together, I think that's going to be, well, hopefully going to be the case for us. And because we're not like narrow-minded in what we like if anything is good, then we'll, you know, go for it. Obviously, we're not going to turn into like a pop band or something like that. But there are so many different avenues we can explore in heavy music. And I feel like we're going to try and utilise that.
So when it comes to that sort of natural creative progression, obviously obviously when you're inside the process, you don't see it happening, but obviously it does happen. And obviously Greater Than You Remembers was like I said, a huge step forward. But it makes me kind of, I don't know, like, obviously you're very proud of the record and it's had a really, really good reception. Has that been good to like see people react to it the way they have?
Oh yes, it's been incredible, because we're just quite surprised about how well it's been received. I mean, we had a great time making it, and like, you know, we're still fond of the songs, which is just as well because we play them a lot. But yeah, it's just been really nice because there's been people like, you know, knowing the lyrics, and like, you know, saying, "Oh, I've picked up your record." It's just a really nice feeling because we have put like a lot of time and effort into it, and it's just so rewarding when people sort of like, you know, make the effort, come see you, and like try and decipher what I'm shouting. So that's quite nice.
I guess you're at that stage now where you have the fan base coming in, which is awesome. Do you remember when you first noticed that happening, or was it just kind of like, oh, suddenly there's more people here than there ever was before? Like, when did that happen? Or did you ever realise, shit, people actually care about our music?
I think it sort of came in drips and drabs. Like, there was a couple of people who got our logo tattooed, like a year and a half ago, and I was like, that's mental. Like, what if we're like, some of them haven't seen us live as well, and I was like, what if we're terrible live? You don't know. But yeah, so that was like incredible and mind blowing. But I think like in regards to sort of like turnouts and things like that, I'd say like our album release tour was quite a massive, oh wow, like, you know, people really care, because I think it's the build up towards like releasing the album and things like that. People were actually kind of excited about it. Well, felt like it anyway. And yeah, so our album release tour really with Maths, I think it was like last May, about when the album came out. But yeah, we were just like really chuffed with the turnouts, and people just seemed to be really into it. So it was nice.
As that kind of, as the style of music you guys play comes more into focus, do you think there's a particular reason for that? You know, the way that it's evolved from nobody liking Botch to people loving people like They'll Just Get Plan Converge and all that. Do you get any thoughts on why that might have happened?
Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
The way that the kind of music you play has kind of come more into focus now. So there's like more bands that do it when there never used to be, and it's a lot more, I guess, acceptable by magazines and stuff like that. Have you got any thoughts on why that might have been, or do you ever really think about that?
I don't think there's any set formula for things that are popular. Like, there's no reason like why things come back in fashion. I think it's almost like there's that one person in the hardcore scene or like whatever scene who's like, oh, I've just discovered this old band, this old metalcore band from like '02. You must listen to it. And then like it gets people excited, and they're like, oh shit, there's more music like this. And then yeah, it's just like almost like a knock-on effect, and it just can happen with anything. Like I remember, like, you know, deathcore was like a massive thing, like especially when I was a teenager. And like, you know, that came, well, I don't know where it came from, but it's just like a constant thing. It's like with fashion, like, you know, 80s is back in at the moment. It's just like, yeah, it just keeps like recycling, really.
You guys have toured with some awesome bands and played with some awesome bands. Rolo, Funeral for a Friend, stuff like that, which is, you know, I remember Funeral for a Friend from when I was growing up back in 2002, 13, 2003, stuff like that. It's fucking crazy to think that they're both, they're now about to break up, which sucks. But I'm kind of wondering, like, when those opportunities started coming towards you, like, what was that like?
Very overwhelming, especially with the Funeral for a Friend one, because I listened to them, like, I'm sure it is the same for like a lot of people, but those first two albums were just sort of like, you know, my soundtrack for secondary school. So to be side stage on the first day of the tour, I was just like, this isn't happening, this is really weird. But yeah, they're all really nice guys, and it was just a very surreal experience, but a very enjoyable one, of course. But yeah, it was weird, but like, it's a really nice thing to look back on as well, because you can't quite believe it's actually happening, like, whilst, you know, going through it. So yeah, it's nice, it's a really good feeling.
I'm wondering, how do you, like, obviously you've done a lot of touring last year, how do you balance like work life and band life? Is that becoming a real concern now that you've been doing more stuff?
I think all five of us want to do this band, and we make sure our jobs fit around us as opposed to the other way around, because obviously, like, we're quite like lucky in the fact that when we started the band, we were either in uni or fresh out of uni, so we were very used to being poor, quite frankly, and yeah, so we just basically chose jobs that like accommodated us. I mean, at the moment, like, I'm very jammy because I work for our record label, so it's in the best interest for us to tour because we sell more records. So yeah.
That's quite a lucky gig to get.
Yeah, it was just one of those complete accident things. I did a degree in animation, never used it, spent a lot of money on it, and then I started interning for Holy Roar, and then yeah, now I'm full time basically. Over progressed over I think 2 years, and yeah, started full time in January this year.
You said you spent a lot of money on a degree. Just for a second there, I was like, oh right, shit, you guys have to pay for your degrees. We don't have to do that in Scotland. It was just so confusing for a second.
I know, England has got that so wrong, hasn't it? My mum was joking around saying we should relocate to Scotland for a bit just so we can get free education.
I used to work for a student loan company, so yeah, I know all about that. If you want to know more, I can tell you later on. Also, they also showed us a big red delete button for the debt.
Yeah.
That didn't really happen. One of the things that I've not really spoken to many girls in this podcast, because it's been quite difficult to get women to come on it for some reason. It makes you wonder, as I was trying to get women to come on it, obviously there's quite a lot of misogyny in the music industry. Have you seen that so far, like, from like obviously being in a band?
I know it definitely happens, and I know quite a few girls and bands it does happen to. I mean, I've experienced it like a bit. However, I kind of feel like I'm almost oblivious to it. Like, I just don't think about it anymore. I don't know if it's because like I'm used to sort of like being in sort of male-dominated situations that I kind of just like, you know, have blinders on almost. But there are times like where I'm not allowed in the venue by security because I haven't got my backstage pass, and they're like, you're not in the band, and things like that. So I have to call the promoter going, can I have my stage pass? And then they'll give me like the stage passes for the whole band. I'll be like, I've got 6 now, can you let me in? And things like that. That's kind of, I just kind of laugh at that though, because I'm just like, well, hopefully, you know, one point, you know, a few years, people will stop kind of, what's the word, sort of, you know, prejudging whether you're in a band or not. It is quite hard though, because, you know, everyone looks the same in bands. We all have like our black t-shirts and things like that, and I guess you get a lot of tag-alongs who do try and sneak backstage, like sold out shows and things like that. But yeah, I think the best thing is just to sort of keep just doing it, and then eventually like it will be accepted, hopefully.
Do you think there's a bit of a barrier to like women getting involved in the kind of heavy music that I guess is predominantly, I guess, male dominated?
I guess so. Like, I think if you really want to do something, though, you'll just do it. Like, I mean, and I don't want to be patronising, go, yeah, girls, you know, start a hardcore band, because that's lame. You shouldn't have to have someone say that to you. Go, oh, you're a girl, you can do what you want, dear. It just seems like, you know, unnecessary. It's just like, well, if you know, as they say, if there's a will, there's a way. And if you don't want to be in a band, fair enough. If you want to do other things, like, you know, be a tattoo artist and that. But, you know, just do what you want. Yeah, just do that.
That seems like a pretty good note to end on. Just do what you want, why not? Is there anything else you want to add, or anything you want to ask me before I finish up?
Who are you next interviewing?
I'm interviewing the singer from Citizen tomorrow night. I just arranged that today, actually, so that'll be interesting. Yeah. Anything else?
I'm trying to think. What was your favourite record of last year?
Oh man, did you really just ask me that question? Fuck. I really like Red City Radio's self-titled album, because I'm a punkhead at heart, and I always have been. Wonder Years are a weird band for me, because they're kind of the same age as me, and I feel as though I've kind of grown with them, which is bizarre. At this age, now that I'm 30, it's kind of weird to think that still happens in your mid to late 20s. Of course, Run the Jewels 2 as well. Yeah, what about you?
I really liked the Caspian record, Dust and Disquiet. I thought that was really, really good. And what else did I like? I liked King Woman Doubt. That EP was really good. And obviously like Kendrick Lamar's Pimp a Butterfly, but that's everyone's favourite album. But I'll throw that in there because it is really good. I've
not heard that. Everyone keeps talking about it, and I just like, I don't know, there's a part of me that goes, if he's not going to sound like Prince, then I really don't want to listen to it. I fucking love Prince.
Yeah, it's just kind of difficult because I don't have much context in that kind of music, so I have no idea if it's good in that sort of, you know, realm of music. So my head is so like into metal and things like that. But yeah, I just think it's a really good record, and it's just like quite well thought out, I feel. So it's definitely worth a listen. And like, you can't listen to heavy music all the time, otherwise you just kind of be, you know, get bored of it, really.
That album was mentioned quite a lot in the same sort of breath as D'Angelo's Black Messiah. I don't know if you've heard that. It's D'Angelo's, like, he was an R&B artist in the 90s and 2000s. He's only released 2 albums and took 15 years to do his 3rd record. And it's like this weird sort of funky R&B odyssey, and it's fucking outstanding.
I have to check that out. Yeah, like, I need to sort of, like, you know, have more time to sort of explore different music, I feel, because I've been doing the whole, you know, listening to metal all the time. I obviously always listen to metal, but yeah, I think it's important to have like different, you know, music tastes.
You do get fatigue after a while, don't you? Listen to the same kind of music. Like, I've always been a punk head, and that's kind of like where I gravitate towards, like bands like yourselves. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I love those 4 chords, man, and those melodies, but sometimes I just want punched in the face.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's important for genres to progress as well. Like, for like the musicians of, like, say, metal to like listen to different things. Like with certain like drummers in metal, you can tell they might, you know, be more inclined to sort of jazz drumming and things like that with like time signatures and that. So I just think it's just good to be all-rounded, really.
Actually, that makes me think, you know the Mars Volta drum, the final Mars Volta drummer, Dave Eldridge, he joined that metal band with Max Cavalera, and yeah, like that record was, Killer Be Killed record was fucking amazing last year.
Oh yeah, I haven't listened to it. There's so many things that people are like, have you listened to this? And like, unfortunately, like I mainly listen to what is on Pitchfork for like sort of more of the mainstream kind of cool stuff. And then, what is it? Heavy Blog is Heavy. So I just kind of go through those at the moment. I'm trying to find like different sort of like zines to go through on my lunch breaks to find more music. But that's my must listen to playlist on Spotify.
It is excellent. Well, Justine, thank you very much for talking to me. I appreciate it. It's been a total pleasure.
Likewise, man. Thank you for having me.
So there you go. I thought it was a really good interview. As I've said before in this podcast, and I guess one of the general sort of themes or one of the kind of things that I tend to go for is that in the end, it's just about listening to people talk about the things that they are passionate about. People get really effusive and really animated and you know, really compelling when they talk about things that they love doing. And when you talk to musicians, then obviously one of the things they love doing is making music and displaying that to the world. And Justine, just like everyone else I've spoken to in this podcast, thankfully, so far anyway, has just been a really engaging guest. So yeah, it's been awesome. Hope you enjoyed it. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. As I left the venue and I walked to get my train home in the horrible, horrible weather, I walked past 5 guys who were all slowly eating a McFlurry, a McDonald's McFlurry, and they were all really happy. Now, me being the morose 30-year-old man that I am, thought, man, I wish something could make me as happy as those guys are right now eating that McDonald's McFlurry. I mean, I'm speaking as a guy who hasn't been to McDonald's in probably a good 10, 12, 15 maybe even years. And you know what? I don't ever remember a McDonald's McFlurry making me that happy. And I really need to stop saying McDonald's, but it just occurred to me, it's like, yeah, like sometimes it's just the little things that make you smile, that make you glad to be alive, that make you feel real human emotions for shit. And let's be honest, we could all stand to feel real human emotions sometimes. And that's why I do this podcast. It's why I go to shows, it's why I make music, it's why I write, it's why I do all the creative things, and it's why I love talking to creative people, because it makes me feel alive, it makes me feel happy that other people are experiencing the same things I am. Because when we get right down to it, when we get right down to the brass tacks of life, when we get right down to the centre of it, the only thing we are assured of is our own consciousness. Beyond that, there is nothing else that we are entirely aware of, that we can be sure exists. But listening to music, reading a novel, watching a film, all of these things, they concatenate into learning about and experiencing someone else's conscious thoughts. That's why music is so powerful, that's why art is so powerful, and that's why I do this podcast, to talk to other creative people who have this impulse, this feeling within themselves that they have to share. It can be about whatever they want it to be about, it doesn't matter. But the fact is, they're feeling something so powerfully that they've got to share a very small part of their consciousness with the world. And that is what this podcast does. I hope you agree with me. You might not agree with me, but that's the way I look at it, and I hope that you look at it the same way as well. I'm going to play you out now with another song from their debut album, obviously, because it's great. And this song is called Bones to Break. Thank you for listening. Until next time, bye bye.